From the top of a mountain called Mount Helix, you have a great 360-degree view of the surrounding area for miles and miles. On the mountain itself, there is a free open-air theater all set up for the big show tonight. Its eastern-facing bowl shape is a natural part of the mountain, and it was lovingly dedicated to the arts in 1925. Like Mount Soledad, this mountain summit also has a cross, which boldly towers over the little community below it, called Spring Valley. Just below the theater, there's an eastern lookout where couples in love can behold the grand valley below. Alright, now we're looking from east to north. This is El Cajon. I soon paid less attention to the sights though, as I realized that my immediate surroundings wasn't what it seemed. So I got nosy and looked around. So this tree looks weird, especially because it's got this thing on it. But on top of that, if you look at the branches, they're straight. They're all glued together. This isn't a real tree. I think the radio antennas disguise these trees to keep them pretty looking. These leaves are fake. Like they're literally plastic. Almost impossible to scratch or anything. Look at the effort they put into trying to make this look like bark. It's rubber. Oh look! Fake rock. Like this whole thing is a giant fake rock. Like that's a real rock, and that's a fake rock. How can I tell it's a fake rock? Because it doesn't look like a real rock. What I meant to say was, real rocks don't have gills like a fish like this one does. Rocks also don't have cautions. Beyond this point, radio frequency fields at this site may exceed FCC rules for human exposure. I should probably go. So I immediately used my emergency jetpack to fly away from the dangerous radio waves, cosplaying as trees and rocks, and toward Spring Valley, down Bancroft Drive, and into Memory Lane. So this is Memory Lane and Bancroft and Spring Valley. Let's take a walk down Memory Lane. Yeah. Anyways, this quiet little house was the first one built out here, right next to a natural spring. Today, it's a museum housing the full history of the region and more. So they decided to let me in. Nice of them. First thing I see is this under the ground, there's a lot of water. The water seeps through the ground from rain, falls down through mountains, goes underwater. If you dig deep enough, you'll find water. Walking into the house, you see how it may have looked back in the days when Hubert Bancroft, a guy who wrote a multi-volume history of the West, also the same guy the street is named after, lived here. He and his family lived back here when it was still wilderness. He bought it from a guy named Rufus King Porter, who named both the valley and Mount Helix. Porter bought the whole thing from another man in 1865 for just $400. When I get to the porch, I notice that kind of looks like a classroom. This little room is, I guess, supposed to look like a school or like a little learning area here. So tempted to write on the chalkboard, but I thought better of it and decided to look at some old pictures instead. This is what the area used to look like, and the circle is where the building we're standing on is right now. Here's another picture, and the building we're at right now is right over here. I think this one is gone and this is now a private home. But this one we're gonna visit next. Now this used to be the porch of this old adobe building. Adobe. Wood. And of course World War II changed a lot of things in the United States, and especially in San Diego, so after World War II, Spring Valley, as well as San Diego, as well as the United States, was changed forever. The building we were in was later added to the adobe brick house and houses much of Spring Valley's modern history, mainly focusing on the events of World War II. World War II was so huge, it helped to put San Diego on the map and caused an economic boom. And now to show you why Spring Valley is called Spring Valley. There's an old backhoe over there. This is the old spring. Now, because this place was full of water underground, it attracted a lot of people. Not way before Europeans came. The Kumeyaay used to actually inhabit this area. They were called the Métis. So now we're gonna go check out this house, this stone house. This house is actually rather easily accessible. I just walked through the gate right across the street from the original spring here. So I guess after the guy that used to own this place, this area is called Bancroft Park. The old brick house itself had its doors locked, but an old looking winding box sitting on the patio out in the open caught my attention, so I decided to check it out. But they got something on this porch right here that I want to check out. Historical timeline of Bancroft Park.
To select a message, please press a button and continue turning the...
Springs and spring water have long been a source of fascination and intrigue. In ancient time, a Roman architect named Vitruvius proposed the theory accepted today. He speculated that springs were fed by rainfall and snowmelt that soaked into the ground and reemerged at another location. Throughout history, springs have been used for water crop, livestock, and farming aquatic organisms such as fish, crustaceans. This water source attracted people thousands of years ago to use this area.
So after winding and winding and more winding, I learned much about the region. The history of the land starts as wilderness with a natural spring that attracted natives to build a village here as early as 900 AD. The Spanish priests were also attracted to this area and its spring. Where the dry spring is now was a small creek that priests liked to baptize the natives in. It's rumored that there was even a battle here in 1801 between the Spanish and the Kumeyaay that drove the natives out of the area. When Mexico won its independence, they started grazing goats and sheep here, but hired the natives back to herd them until the United States took over California. But the village of Métis was gone forever. The creek leads west into the Sweetwater River where there's a reservoir. The Sweetwater Reservoir was built in 1888 to provide water to the cities of Chula Vista and National City and is still in use today. The dam was breached only once in a massive rainstorm in 1916. There are also many stories about the Porters, Bancrofts, and of Spring Valley itself, but I'll leave it at that. Besides the peaks of Coles Mountain, Mount San Miguel, Mount Helix, and others, there's also Dictionary Hill. A couple of tiny bumps in the mesa, half covered in homes. Dictionary Hill is a hilly community in Spring Valley that was started by a company that promised customers a plot of land if they bought their encyclopedias. It's a steep ride followed by a quick hike. On this very hill, though, I stood one night in April of this year to witness a beautiful lunar eclipse. Because to discover Spring Valley and all it has to offer is to discover just a small but unimaginably important puzzle piece in the overall history of San Diego.